The late afternoon sun burned low over the sleepy outskirts of Ridgeway town, throwing long orange shadows over the cracked road that led toward a cluster of abandoned warehouses. The hum of engines rolled through the still air, 5 black motorcycles gliding down the lane in a sleek formation, chrome gleaming like liquid fire. The leader, Cole Hartman, 42, known to his crew as Iron Wolf, eased the throttle and slowed near an old gas station that had long since closed. He wasn't expecting what he was about to see, something that would carve itself into his heart forever. Just ahead, near a rusted mailbox and a dirt path that led to a small shack, a little boy, no older than 8, stood beside a tiny battered bicycle. It had one handlebar wrapped in blue tape and a rear wheel so bent it barely turned. The boy's clothes were too small, his sneakers torn, his cheeks streaked with dust. As the rumble of engines died down, he lifted his chin and waved at them with trembling hands. Cole slowed to a full stop. The other bikers, Rico, Tank, Blade, and Mason, watched curiously from their seats. The boy stepped forward and called out, his voice small but steady. "Sir, will you buy my bike?" Cole blinked, removing his helmet. "Your bike?" he asked gently, confused. The boy nodded earnestly, his lower lip trembling. "Please, sir, Mummy hasn't eaten in 2 days." And in that instant, time seemed to freeze. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of helping someone who's fallen on hard times, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal, because stories like this deserve to be seen by every heart that still believes in good. Cole felt a lump rise in his throat as he looked down at the boy. The way he clutched the handle of that broken bike, it wasn't just metal and rubber to him, it was everything he had left to trade for a little hope. Cole climbed off his motorcycle and knelt down. "What's your name, kid?" He asked softly. "Liam," the boy whispered. "Liam Foster. Where's your mom, Liam?" He pointed toward the shack down the dirt path. A faint trail of smoke rose from a rusted tin barrel outside, and Cole could make out the sagging outline of a door barely hanging from its hinges. There was no sound of laughter, no sign of life. Just stillness. Cole's gut tightened. "Stay here, bud," he said gently, then motioned to his crew. "Let's take a look." As the bikers approached the small house, the smell of mold and cold ashes filled the air. The roof sagged in the middle, and a single curtain hung limp in the broken window. Cole pushed open the door, and what he saw inside stopped him cold. A woman sat slumped on the floor beside an old mattress. She was thin, pale, her long hair tangled, her arms wrapped protectively around her stomach. When she heard the creak of the door, she jerked her head up, eyes wide with fear. "Please," she gasped weakly, "we don't have anything left." Cole quickly raised a hand. "It's okay, Mum. We're not here to hurt you." Her name was Mara Foster, 30, and her story spilled out in fragments, each word trembling with shame and exhaustion. Her husband had died a year ago in a construction accident. The company never paid what they owed. The landlord threw her out after months of unpaid rent. Since then, she'd been living in that broken-down shack, doing laundry for neighbors and collecting scrap to survive. But a few days ago, the little she had, her last bag of food, her blanket, even her son's small savings jar, had been taken. "By who?" Cole asked, his voice low. Mara hesitated, her eyes filled with tears. "By my brother-in-law, Evan. He said my husband owed him. He took everything and said we deserve nothing." Rico, a large man with tattoos down both arms, clenched his fists. "That's messed up," he muttered. Cole stood silently for a long moment, his jaw tightening. He had seen a lot of ugliness in the world, men taking advantage of the weak, people turning their backs on the broken. But something about this small boy trying to sell his bike to feed his mother pierced deeper than anything else. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a wad of cash, and placed it in Mara's shaking hands. "You're not selling that bike," he said. "You're keeping it." Liam deserves to ride it again. Mara stared at the money, her lips trembling. I can't take this. You're not taking it, Cole interrupted firmly. You're earning it. You're going to get back on your feet, okay? The other bikers exchanged looks. Mason stepped forward and placed a grocery bag full of snacks and energy drinks from his saddlebag beside her. It's not much, but it'll get you through the night, Tank added, and tomorrow we'll bring you real food. Liam's eyes widened as he looked at the men in leather jackets. People the world usually crossed the street to avoid, and saw something he hadn't seen in a long time: kindness. That night, the bikers rode back into town under the fading twilight, the air thick with unspoken emotion. They gathered at their favorite roadside diner, their plates untouched. Cole finally spoke, his voice gravelly. We're not just giving her cash, we're fixing this. Meaning? Blade asked. Meaning, Cole said, we're going to find that bastard Evan and make sure he never takes from her again. The next morning dawned warm and bright. The roar of 5 motorcycles echoed down the street, leading to an auto yard on the edge of town. They'd done some digging overnight. Evan worked there, selling stolen car parts on the side, living off greed and intimidation. When Cole and his crew rolled in, the workers scattered like startled birds. Evan stepped out of the garage, wiping his hands on a rag. He looked mid-30s, smirking like a man who thought he owned the world. Well, look who's here, he sneered. What do you want? Cole didn't answer right away. He removed his helmet and stared hard at him. You took from a woman and her kid, he said quietly. You took their food, their savings, everything. Evan scoffed. So what? She owed me. Cole took a slow step forward. She owed you nothing, but now you owe them. The air between them thickened. Rico and Tank flanked Cole, their presence enough to make Evan's smirk falter. Cole didn't touch him, didn't raise a hand. He didn't have to. He simply leaned closer and said, You have 1 hour to return every damn thing you took, or we'll make sure the whole town knows what kind of coward you are. For a long moment, Evan just stared. Then he muttered something under his breath and stormed off. The bikers waited, watching, silent, steady. And within that hour, Evan came back with a small box in his arms. Inside were Mara's few belongings, a family photo, and a little tin jar with coins still rattling inside. He dropped it on the ground without a word. Cole looked down at it, then at Evan. You can go now, he said, and pray you never cross her path again. The man walked away, shoulders tense, face pale. That afternoon, the bikers rode back to the shack. Liam ran out as soon as he heard the sound of engines, his face lighting up with disbelief when Cole handed him the box. He brought it back, Cole said softly. Mara stood in the doorway, tears streaming freely. How did you? Cole shook his head. Doesn't matter how. What matters is you start again from here. They helped fix the roof that day. Tank and Rico went to town and brought groceries, while Mason repaired the broken window. Liam's laughter echoed for the first time in weeks as Blade fixed the chain on his little blue bike. Cole stood at a distance, watching, arms folded, eyes misty. When evening fell, they built a small fire outside. Mara made tea, weak but warm. They all sat around under the wide country sky, the stars flickering like tiny promises. Mara looked at them and said quietly, I don't know how to thank you. Cole smiled faintly. You already did, ma'am. You reminded us why we started riding together. To never forget that strength isn't about fear. It's about standing up for someone who can't. Weeks passed. The bikers checked in on Mara and Liam often. Cole found her a job at a nearby cafe. The crew helped her move into a small rental house in town. Little Liam even started going to school again, his blue bike freshly painted, shiny as new. Sometimes, when Cole's crew rode through that same old road, Liam would wave as they passed, his laughter rising over the rumble of their engines. To anyone watching, they were just a group of tough-looking bikers on the open road. But to one small family, they were angels with helmets instead of halos. And though the world often judged them for their leather and tattoos, Cole and his crew didn't care. They knew what they'd done. They'd answered a cry for help from a boy who refused to give up on his mother. They'd learned something powerful that day, that sometimes the smallest voices are the ones that change the hardest hearts. If this story touched your heart and reminded you that kindness can still change lives, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Journal, because real strength is in compassion, not power. Special request, comment below. I still believe in kindness. Let's fill this world with hope, one story at a time.